if we in the hemp industry can't solve this problem before November, every hemp product in America will become illegal, including CBD oils that were made famous in 2018 for helping children with epilepsy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bourbon Pursuit, the official podcast of Bourbon. I'm Kenny Coleman.
Fred Minnick here.
And we're going to be doing some bluegrass flipping today. That's a new term I came up with, by the way. It's a little mixture of doing some bourbon, doing some little weeds, little THC. But we have somebody on the show that we have had on previously, and I just remember this story from a long time ago. It was one of my favorite podcasts because I'm actually sandwiched in between two authors right now, and I can say that I have read both of these books, and that is a huge accomplishment for Kenny, who kind of gave up reading after high school. But this was something that when I read Jim's book the first time of Cornbread Mafia, I was completely enthralled with it, knowing that there was the largest marijuana illegal drug ring that was happening right here in our backyard, and nobody ever really knew about it because it came after my generation, obviously, but he was able to document, talk about it, the personalities. And I still, to this day, every single time I drive to Bardstown and I see that rooster on the right hand side, that's the only I can just picture in my head the DEA helicopters swooping in, cars being pulled to the side and stuff like that. But today it's going to take a little bit of a different positioning as we start talking about his new brand that's been coming out and really kind of blown up, especially around here in the Kentucky area, and sort of what we've seen in regulation of marijuana and how it's going to start intersecting with bourbon too.
Yeah, and our guest is, when we first had him on, it was very eye-opening to me, like how massively of a leader he was for the category. Since then, my thoughts on him have been proven not only to be true, but he's continued to be like one of the biggest and most important voices in the THC and marijuana space, to the point that my mother-in-law not too long ago was asking me if I'd ever heard about Cornbread and if I knew the people behind Cornbread. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, man,
I kind of do.
We interviewed him once, and we're going to interview him again.
How about it? Oh, see, it's already spanning generations, right? She didn't come to ask you for bourbon advice, does she?
Yeah, she pops gummies, but she will ask me for advice because of her neighbors, but she could give two shits about bourbon.
Yeah, well, you got to have something, everybody, right?
Yeah.
So today on the show, we welcome back one of our favorite guests from the past. Oh gosh, it's been years now. Back in 2022, he was on. It was episode 342. Jim Higdon, the co-founder of Cornbread Hemp and also the author of Cornbread Mafia. So, Jim, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, just for clarity, I did not pay you for that intro.
Oh, no.
That was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and Kenny, I have the same experience driving by a Rooster Run every time I drive by a Rooster Run. So I'm glad that I'm not alone. That I've implanted that into your head as it has been in mine. Yeah, one day we'll get a movie made of all that, and it'll be in everybody's mind.
Oh, yeah. Did you sell the rights to the book for a movie?
We talked about that last time, about the potential movie.
It's always a challenge. But there's always things moving in the right direction. So, that's a topic for another.
Hey, as long as they keep paying for the rights to it, and you keep getting that. That's I've gone through that too.
But now they do things called co-production agreements where it's it's a $0 agreement. Anyway,
doesn't sound like anybody wins in that position.
That's the topic for another show.
Yeah, I don't want to dive into that one too much.
You could see that his neck veins were beaten on that.
Hey, I've already bluegrass flipped. I already did my bourbon. I already just took a sip of my cornbread over here.
What are you calling this? A bluegrass what?
Bluegrass flip.
Bluegrass flip. I've heard it also referred to as either zebra striping or candy striping.
Yeah.
But bluegrass flip is a nice new one.
So this is when you are mixing the THC with bourbon.
And bourbon together.
But you're not in a cocktail. It's
not
like one
right now. They're separate.
Okay.
Don't tempt me, Fred. We got a lot of time left on this.
So for the audience listening, I am not partaking. I actually have never had a THC drink. Never had one.
Well, we'll send you home with a can.
Well, and even then, I might be texting Jim like, "All right, I'm about to do it. I'm nervous. Can you walk me through it?"
I'm just going to send you gifs of animals doing stuff.
I'm gonna be like, Jim, what if I start? What's going to happen here now? You know,
that's a good segue.
You are depriving your audience of witnessing your consumption of a 5 milligram beverage in front of them, and I'm not pressuring you. I'm just sharing with you that many people are going to experience this podcast.
What if I take my shirt off and start putting, Vaseline on my nipples and going crazy or something?
There's lots of what ifs in the world, Fred. You can't live that way.
Okay, let's do it.
I guess that's
no, not today. Like,
well, I
can't do it today. I'm saying like an audience for another time.
All I heard was,
I got $20, Fred. Let's see what $20 will get me. So
you manage that with Jacqueline later for taking the kids everywhere.
Sure not.
You got a deal.
Why not? We can make it happen. But I guess that's a good question for people that have never tried THC seltzers or they are hesitant about it. What's kind of like a pitch? I mean, obviously with alcohol, nobody has to give a pitch for it anymore because it's been around, I don't know, since the ancient before civilization times. So
there's an argument to be made that cannabis was being used by civilization before alcohol, and so it's not like cannabis has not been around either.
But did it taste like peach iced tea at the time?
It did not. It does now.
There we go.
Right. There remains lots of apprehension. I do this stuff every day, and it still surprises me where we meet consumers at sort of every stage of the knowledge ladder on this, and we're constantly encountering people for, what is CBD, what is THC? Will CBD make me test positive on a drug test? Like very, how is it going to make me feel? Can I drive? Those sorts of questions. Like, and there is lots of apprehension for people who've never done it before, and it's not for everybody, and it affects everyone differently. So people who haven't done it before, they might be right to feel apprehensive about it, and it's something that you want to experience in a safe, controlled environment. But it's nothing that's scary and nothing that's going to cause a psychotic break like Fred was just describing.
Well, I'm in.
Is this reefer madness coming all back to?
I mean, it's if one was prone to rubbing Vaseline on one's nipples, it wouldn't have been the THC beverage that caused it.
There we go.
I just used that as a possibility.
It seemed very specific.
It sounds like he wanted to do it before he even had the drink.
Well, in Kenny's presence, it just comes naturally. So the truth is, like, I don't like getting intoxicated. I don't like losing control. I'm a taster, so I like to taste, and I am into bourbon in large part because of how it tastes. And one of the detractors for me is that from everything that I've talked to people about with THC drinks is it's not for taste, it's for effect. And so I don't drink bourbon for effect. And I don't have a spirits competition for effect. Now, I taste a lot and effect comes, but I'm not doing what I do because I want to get sloppy and be silly.
And I am not paying you for these setups, but I'm glad you brought this up because we feel very similarly about our product formulation here. Like, there's such a range of quality in the THC beverage space, and there's a lot of trash out there.
Yeah,
and it was something that really surprised us when we were doing our R&D, which we did for a year before we came out with our own. There's a lot of crap.
Yeah,
people just aren't taking the time and the consideration, and partly, part of this being Eric Zipperly, my cousin and co-founder and our CEO, we're both sort of children of the bourbon industry, and I grew up, right by Maker's Mark. In fact, our grandmother was born at the house that's now the guest house on the distillery property at Maker's Mark. We're from there, and taste is a big part of this, and we wanted to make sure that we had a product that wasn't just for effect, but also was a great experience and tasted great. And we went to great lengths to make that possible. And part of the reason why, when we got started, we have to compete on quality because we're not going to compete on price.
Yeah, and I think too, I'm very comfortable. I've known you for a decade, and I'm very comfortable with giving my first shot, being your product, versus someone I don't know or just go on the street and buy or whatever. But I'll taste it.
Talking about going on the streets and buy it. You sound like it's like doing a
like
back alley deal
in
around
the
here
trunk of a Trans Am in the Walmart parking lot.
You know how I
which
used
is exactly
to
how I used to buy bourbon, by the way.
Yeah,
So
I know that's where I was going. It's like we had to go buy bourbon in like these random crusty parking lots at Kroger in Ohio and places. Sacks of cash or cashier's checks.
I'm very much looking forward to this review. This is the Fred Minnick Cornbread beverage review is going to be a highlight of 2026 for me.
I assure you, it won't do anything. Like people will be like, "Yeah, fuck him. What's he know about THC drinks?"
I'm just like not on effect, but on taste and flavor and experience. This is something we've taken a lot of time to get right.
Now, Ryan was telling me that you can't have more than one. Like you can only have like one drink. Like you can't have like two. And I think that's the other thing of like if it's thirst quenching and it's good, the common like thought is like, oh, I'll have another.
It actually says it right there on the side of the can.
Oh, look, we have a little.
It's like your own
can thermometer.
If you have your own THC guide, if you will, it says
really?
1 can means you're a beginner and it just makes you relaxed and calm. 2 cans, intermediate. Maybe that's where we're all sick. Happy and social. Experience 3 cans. You're talking to God.
That's not what it says.
It doesn't. It says blissful and euphoric.
He's like, sir, we did not put that on there. We tried, but did not get approval. So that's interesting. Like, do you have to get? You don't have to go through the same kind of label approval that the alcohol brands do, correct?
Not yet. We're looking forward to the day where we do.
Well, let's shift the conversation. I want to talk about the state of the industry, but let's kind of talk about sort of where your brand has gone since the last time you were on the show. The last time you were with us, you had your CBD gummies, which were kind of like the staple of what you were building. From there, I think it was before we started talking as we were recording here, I see cornbread absolutely everywhere now, especially here in the Louisville area, whether it's at the local shops, it can be the liquor stores, it can be wherever. I see advertisements plastered all over festivals. I remember the Kentucky State Festival had your own cornbread stand. I've seen churches now sponsored by cornbread. I'm just kidding, it wasn't that, but it's there's a huge advertising push into it. So kind of talk about the growth and the generations of your product that you've gone through since the last time we talked.
So I was a journalist reporting on cannabis in 2018, covering the 2018 Farm Bill for Politico, and saw what was happening in hemp in Kentucky. And Eric Zipperly, my cousin and my co-founder, has an MBA from Bellarmine and a marketing background, and was just launching. He launched Mint Julep Tours in Nashville and had just come back. And we started talking on Thanksgiving Day of 2018 on this opportunity to create a CBD company. And Cornbread was sitting right there to name it, to brand it, and to create a company, a brand that connected to the Kentucky heritage of growing hemp and cannabis through the 250 years since the first hemp crop was planted in Kentucky in 1775, which was, this knowledge that I brought to it from having written the Cornbread Mafia book. And Eric, with his background in e-commerce, was solving, all the problems on the product end. And so our first products were available for sale in April of 2019. We had organic products by the end of that year and went into COVID as a direct-to-consumer company, and grew through COVID because of that, and came out the other side, created certified organic gummies, again, competing on quality and not on price. And those certified organic gummies helped launch the company to, into a national competitor. And then as the industry evolved, first with CBD oils and then gummies, and the next wave of product innovation was beverages. And we were watching the beverage industry take off, and we were students of it, and waited a step longer than many of our competitors, because we were doing lots of R&D and making sure we got it right.
One of the things I was looking into around the time of, it's a very similar timeline. This was when the Spirits Network was launching, and I was helping the Spirits Network come around. One of the things we kept coming into was like cannabis, and I remember talking to someone who was kind of like a chemist, and like we're trying to figure out a way to get the THC to metabolize with alcohol in these alcohol drinks. There was this big effort to create like cannabis cocktails. And the cannabis cocktails never really took off. It never really happened because they could never get the formulas right. There are a couple cocktail books that came out. Some got a lot of bad reviews because there was too much, THC in there, not safe levels. But out of nowhere, I feel like the THC, seltzers came about. So can you talk a little bit about like how like these are metabolized in the body versus like say a cannabis cocktail where you've got like cannabis and alcohol like at heavier doses mixed together?
Wow, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
First of all, from a regulatory perspective, a product that contains both alcohol and cannabinoids is a nightmare. It's hard enough doing either one of these by itself. To put them together is basically just a giant exercise in being told no by the government.
This is weird because I've got one in my left hand and one in my right hand right now. What do I do, Jim?
Hold on now.
What do I
I'm
do?
a certified member of the government.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But putting those in the same product on the same label with a regulator is a whole nother story. In the early days of CBD, I recall a story of a microbrewery in California making an IPA with CBD in it. And FDA, that. FTC, TTB came down on them really hard, and along with California regulators, and it was never contemplated again. There are some non-alcoholic products with THC added back into it, so like a non-alcoholic, non-alcoholic beer with cannabinoids, but that's a difficult, lengthy process. So that is not something that's really contemplated by the market, just because regulatorily it's a nightmare. In terms of how the product is digested in the body, it's really interesting. Each form factor of cannabinoid products are ingested into the body, go into the bloodstream in different ways. So inhaled cannabis, goes through the pulp, like through the lungs. And then the sublingual tinctures really absorb through the mucous membrane in your mouth. And then gummies are digested and go through a whole liver digestion phase. And that's why gummies and edibles can be difficult, because there's such a long duration on impact. So if someone takes a 10 milligram gummy and half an hour later thinks it didn't do anything, and they take another one, and then they both hit at once, and then they get themselves into a place where they're uncomfortable. And that's because eating an edible goes through a liver digestion phase that these other pathways don't. And beverages are new to this as well. And the onset effects of them are fairly immediate, because they're not going through the liver, they're going through the stomach wall through osmosis, like any other beverage would.
And that's the reason why you see all these memes of people when they take their first gummy and they wait an hour and they're like, I haven't felt anything yet. Then they take their next gummy, and then all of a sudden they're over the moon.
See, that whole story just is like, I don't know if I want to do this now.
I think you already said it. So I think
I'm hooked for one.
Locked in.
I'm hooked for one can. But
that's and going back to that, every body is different, and everybody's tolerance is different, and some people have built up a tolerance over time, and some people have not. And even those who have not, it's going to affect everyone differently. So that's why a 5 milligram beverage is a good way to start. It's not something that you shouldn't or can't go more than 5. It's really just going to be something that everyone's going to experience differently. And if you drink a half of one and you feel something and you don't want to drink any more, then that's where you're at. That's nothing wrong with that.
But with the drinks, you feel it a little bit more instantaneously.
Correct.
So you can manage that a little bit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit quicker. It's kind of like just drinking alcohol. It's like, you kind of know when it starts hitting. It takes about 15-ish minutes.
It solves the problem of the gummies. You know where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of just all of a sudden you're like, and there it is. Yeah. But I think this also kind of rolls into what we'll start talking about, the state of the industry, because one thing that we've always noticed is that you've seen the THC seltzers come out, and whether they're in Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere else, the amount of milligrams in every single can, it was all over the place. I know that we had talked to whether the distributors or retailers, and I think there were at some point like you could put, I don't think there was an upward limit, but they were putting like 50 milligrams in a single can.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said, like, that's that's way. I mean, to put that in perspective, 3 cans of cornbread is at 15 milligrams, right? And that's that's blissful and euphoric. 50, I don't know what the good connotation is for that, but a lot of people said like, well, why would I ever sell something like this? This is way too much. So kind of talk about what you've seen in the industry and whether it's like, are those bad players or are those just people that are just working inside the system and finding an angle?
Sloppy players is how I'd characterize them. And last time I was in Vegas, in the regulated market from a dispensary, I bought a 100 milligram beverage.
Whoa!
And it was terrible.
Oh my gosh!
I couldn't, like, I had 2 sips of it and just was like, well, this isn't happening.
Was that like just getting like the pure like vape form, like mainline?
No, it was in a soda, but it just tasted super bitter because you could taste the extract in a way that was very upfront. But what you're seeing in high dose beverages is because of sloppy product development, because what they did not realize. Okay, so if you don't package this product correctly, it loses potency in the can. The THC will cling to the inside of the can wall if it's manufactured improperly. And people don't realize this. And so their customers were telling them they weren't getting the effect they were expecting. And so they just keep upping the dosage in the can instead of solving the manufacturing problem.
Which is open up the can and lick the inside of the can.
That would definitely get you there. Or you could just manufacture your can with the appropriate can liner that keeps the THC emulsified correctly so that you don't have that problem. But if you don't solve for that problem, then you end up chasing higher milligram limits on the can. And because it's an unregulated market where no one's capping that, then it was kind of a free-for-all and people were just doing whatever.
Yeah. And kind of, we've talked about it on This Week in Bourbon a few times, kind of talk about sort of what has led up to this point where they started looking at that 2018 Farm Bill going, okay, we gotta, at least when I say that the government has got to put some sort of regulation on top of this. Kind of talk about sort of what the buildup was to that.
Well, we just talked about it. Like the buildup was the immediate popularity of the beverages and the threats they posed to existing industries, and the connections that those existing industries have with powerful politicians who then did the thing.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say it was Big Bourbon that might have talked may have said something to somebody.
I think it was the distributors that got caught up in the in some of the was it WikiLeaks that came out in early WikiLeaks stuff, or was it there was something that came out that tied the wholesale industry to like trying to block cannabis in like somewhere like Michigan. And it was pretty massive.
The distributors at the federal level are on our side. Mm-hmm. We have disagreements with distributors at the state level relative to direct to consumer issues, but at a federal level, the distributors and us are aligned because they know people are drinking less alcohol and those trucks need to have something on them, and THC beverages are a product that are popular that want to be on those trucks. And so the distributors want these products to be legal. It's the manufacturers, both wine and spirits and corporate beer, who are threatened by and have not yet come to terms with this category at a macro level.
Yeah, I mean,
until they acquire one, and they're like, "Well, we love cornbread."
Yeah, that, or I mean, a lot of breweries have switched over to that, and so breweries will, because they have the capacity, they have the canning operations, they have all that, and so they will use this as another revenue stream.
In the manufacturing space, craft brewers are our best friends.
Yeah, I figured as much. And to kind of look at this of where the Farm Bill kind of was, and I guess, in your opinion, when we think of states that have, we'll call it decriminalized, made it recreational, Ohio, Nevada, other places, California, how does your product, or how does a THC seltzer fit into a state where it's now recreational? Does that remove it from, say, store shelves at Target or liquor stores, and then it can go to just dispensaries? I'm kind of always had this internal turmoil of trying to figure out, well, if they just made everything federal across every single state that it now became recreational, wouldn't this just solve the problem? that we're currently in?
Well, you're talking about a world of descheduled cannabis, which is the ideal world that myself and people in our industry are working towards. Cannabis should not be a Schedule 1 drug. It shouldn't be a Schedule 3 drug. It should be descheduled like alcohol and regulated similar to, but not identical to alcohol, including with interstate commerce. So in most states, like 90% of Americans live in states where they have legal access, safe access to cannabis, but all that cannabis has to be grown in the state where it's sold. So you can't get California-grown cannabis in an Illinois dispensary. You can only get Illinois-grown cannabis in an Illinois dispensary. And, you can grow bananas in Illinois too, but they'll be expensive and low quality compared to the bananas you can get where bananas are supposed to be grown, right? And in a free market, in a descheduled world, cannabis would be grown in places where it's good to grow cannabis, and that's California, Oregon, Kentucky, a few other places, and that good cannabis will be sold in dispensaries all across America. And there are institutional cannabis operations, multi-state operators, call them MSOs in the cannabis space. Some MSOs are against the idea of a descheduled cannabis marketplace because they've spent millions of dollars in infrastructure in these intrastate, state-only silos where their product manufacturing can't leave state lines. So in an ideal world, we would find cannabis products, hemp products in a variety of retailers. And one big difference between a hemp beverage like ours and what you would get in a dispensary is the potency level. In Kentucky, we're capped at 5 milligrams. Some states have capped it at 10 milligrams per serving. In Tennessee, it's 15, which is on the high side. But in a dispensary, there are no milligram caps. It's a dispensary. And much like a packaged liquor store relative to a place where you get, beer, malt beverages in a, grocery setting.
Yeah, there's a lot of, sorry to interrupt you, Fred. I just see there's a lot of gray areas. As much as I'd like to say everybody has to fit, your square peg to your square hole and round hole to your round peg. It's like okay, you want your booze, you go to the liquor store. You want your THC seltzers, you go to the dispensary. And if it was like that, it's like, okay, cool. But then the gray areas come in because obviously Target, Kroger, Walmart, they all sell.
I think everybody wants to
beer.
sell these. And in all honesty, like I kind of like, I look at the larger cannabis discussion, a completely different topic. I really want to focus on like the THC drinks. And the one thing when I talk to the lobbyists, the one thing that keeps coming up is something that you've already brought up, the sloppy players, right? That will kill this product from ever, taking off. So is there I almost feel like if you all want to, when I say you all, I mean like THC drink as a group, if you all want to have a legitimate shot of like getting tied into every liquor store in the country, that stuff's got to be cleaned up. Is there an effort within the industry to like get some guidelines to get people to work within a set of rules?
Well, let me tell you what your bourbon lobbyists have done, or the bourbon lobbyists who have spoken, not to imply that they belong to you.
We're talking.
Don't put me in that book.
I mean, when it comes to, let's be very candid here, but when it comes to this space, the lobbyists are. It's not just the creators of it. It's also the advertising companies. The advertising companies want to be able to take your money, but you violate a lot of major like federal rules. Like
when you say you,
the category.
Thank you.
Not Jim. You're very flowery, fluffy cans are nice, but when Willie Nelson comes out with one and says no hangover. That's a violation of federal law when it comes to like alcoholic drinks, but it's not alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. So that's going to come under scrutiny for the entire category.
Sure.
So
let me tell you what the remedy is that the bourbon lobbyists have imposed upon us. To satisfy those concerns, what the bourbon lobbyists have done through Mitch McConnell is put the entire hemp industry on death row. If we in the hemp industry can't solve this problem before November, every hemp product in America will become illegal, including CBD oils that were made famous in 2018 for helping children with epilepsy. So the bourbon lobbyists have imposed a bill that are going to take CBD oil away from children with epilepsy in order to satisfy their concerns about bad actors in the beverage space. And if you think that makes sense, that's very interesting. But that's where we're at.
Okay. So what are some of those guidelines that have been imposed, and what do you see as the next phase? I think I read some of it, and you kind of said at the very top of the show, you're sort of looking forward to regulation a little bit.
We've been begging for it.
So kind of talk about
what we've been given is not a conversation about regulation. What we've been given is prohibition imposed upon us by an industry who has only been out of prohibition for less than 100 years.
The influence that they have on government officials, I mean, the industry is not doing it. And it's also, I would also say, like, it has been under prohibition. Like, cannabis has been under prohibition for a long time. It's only been in the last, recent part of our lifetime that it's been legal for anyone to consume in any way, shape, or form. So I would say if you take a look at it from a different, you're in it, right? You're in it. But if you look at it from another lens, we don't have any kind of way to like regulate this. There's nothing. So it's like there's no federal law that has been, telling people what to do. And so you have people doing everything. And yeah, you've got CBD ointments out there helping people, but then you've got other people creating 100 milligram, whatever the measurement is, of THC drinks. And the way the government works is never to like focus on what is helping. It's always to like curtail what is bad. It's what happened to alcohol with prohibition. That's why there's some counties in this state right now that still have prohibition in their respective county.
Only 4.
Still some. We're down to 4. That's less than I thought, actually. Or, yeah, less than I thought it was. But at any rate, there is nothing at all. So I would say...
That's not true. There is a law on the books, and it is total prohibition of the category effective November. And so this conversation, this thought that you're having about bad actors ruining the space and there being no guardrails.
But we got here from that. Like, so if there were not bad actors, if there were not people who were putting out, irresponsible products or irresponsible marketing, I don't think
then CBD oils wouldn't be taken away from children with epilepsy.
If that's the one part that you all want to save, then save that. Y'all have the choice. Y'all are the negotiation table too.
We are not at the negotiation table. We're on the chopping block. It's done. The law has been passed. There is no negotiation. It's done.
Then how are products still coming out?
They have until November to get the regulation.
If we can't change it by November, we're done. All of these products are illegal. It's done. There's no negotiation. It's over.
Which I'm going to side, by the way, take a deep breath over here. Everything's fine.
This is just discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's keep everything harmonious around here as well. Because what was it when prohibition was repealed for the inside of alcohol? They had 3 years to make sure that they could have everything ready to go. And it was done in 11 months? Every single state?
It was done very quickly.
It was done very, very quickly. So I feel that this is going to happen. Like it's going to move at a meteoric pace, because back then you didn't have even email that you could communicate with. So it's going to happen a lot faster in regard to this. So I do have the positive mindset that this is going to get regulated. And I guess
that's where I come from too, is that I don't feel like that it's going to go away. And so
no, it's not.
There's too much money behind it. There's too many people who want it. The consumers want it too badly. And for however many years, there's been states that have allowed it, and the only way you get in trouble if you go to a state is if you get on an airplane and go across state lines. People who go to other states and then come into a state that doesn't have it, they get in trouble. My whole point is that not you, Jim.
Jim, if this keeps going, I have to have another one of these cans here soon.
My whole point is that the category blossomed, it ballooned, and everybody was on it, and then people took advantage of it. And if everybody was responsible and put as much thought into it as you did, then I don't think we have the same conversations. And you may think that the bourbon industry would still want to put you on the chopping block. I don't think that's the case. I don't.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the hemp industry did it to himself. We got ourselves prohibited because some people acted bad, and because we couldn't regulate the whole thing, then everything had to go away, including CBD oils for children with epilepsy.
That's what happened to the alcohol industry.
And
that's
what
continues to happen.
And
to
you think
them.
You think that's the right and good decision?
I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm saying that's how it works.
It seems like you're saying that's what. Seems like you're saying that's what you think.
No, I do believe that the industry that you're in did not have you had people trying to make money off of it. There was not a collective, collective industry together working together. There was not an arm that was trying to work within a system already.
I think
because it wasn't a system.
We need to get Fred one of these cans here soon.
What you're saying is because the industry wasn't regulated, it deserved to go into prohibition because the industry wasn't regulated. We've been asking for regulations, have not gotten those regulations, and now it's our fault that we have not had those regulations.
The alcohol industry polices itself.
No, it doesn't. The alcohol industry
it has a responsibility code that it
doesn't police itself. It has federal regulations and it has state regulations.
It had the Distilled Spirits Industry Council code of conduct polices itself. That is what, when it comes to advertising laws, when it comes to going through.
Sure. So you're saying that that's justification for our industry being prohibited? It's not justification. And Fred, to kind of say, like the discus side, yes, those are. That kind of creates a little bit of a blueprint for what we're already seeing happening in this space, because one of the things that I did see is, as a part of this reform and this regulation, it's like, okay, you can't have your cans have cartoon characters. They can't be things that look like they're going to be attractive to children.
Have you seen craft beer with cartoon characters on them?
I totally agree.
Dust? Yeah. Have you seen what a can, like...
That's true. And really, I was thinking more along the lines of the bourbon world as well.
Like Joe Camel in the 90s with cigarettes.
What's on the front of a Buffalo Trace?
It's an animal, but
it sure is. It's an illustration. Is it a cartoon?
It's not trying to attract children.
Oh well, I mean, it's a little. I'm not going to call it splitting hairs. I do want to kind of. I want to go ahead and try to change the shift the conversation to be more along the lines of the regulation side. I understand that we all have the way we feel about where it is and who we're going to point the finger at, but I still feel that that the THC side is going to come out of this, and it's going to come out very strong. I
agree,
because it's like,
but in order to do that, we have to defeat Mitch McConnell in the U.S. Senate. It's not a given that we're going, like in your previous episode, you were talking about cannabinoid regulations as if it was a done thing because Senator Wyden and Merkley introduced a bill, but that bill's not going anywhere because it doesn't have a Republican co-sponsor. And the reason why it doesn't have a Republican co-sponsor is that no Republican in the Senate wants to cross Mitch McConnell except for Rand Paul. This is not a done deal. We're in the fight of our lives on Capitol Hill. If we can't get this done soon, we're all going out of business and all of these products are going into prohibition. It is not like your assumption that we're going to figure this out. I appreciate it. That's my job and that's what I'm working towards, but it is by no means a given.
Okay, so give me the playbook then. What's something that an average consumer can do? Because I know that you have fans that enjoy these products. It's already something that's the government wouldn't be coming down on it if they didn't find it mainstream enough, right? And that there's a widespread usage of it. So as consumers, what can they do, or what can they do to help support your industry?
We'll be introducing a bill to get an extension on the McConnell death sentence. And that will give us time to get a bill through regular order through the committees of relevance in the House and the Senate. And that'd be the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House and the Senate Help Committee. But to do that is going to take time, and we need more time. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to Congress and ask for an extension on the McConnell ban. And we hope that we can get that. We hope Discus won't fight it. And we hope McConnell won't fight it. And so we're looking forward to those conversations, but we've not seen anything from Discus or any board member of Discus that says that they would say otherwise. And so until then, Discus is applauding the efforts to do what McConnell and Andy Harris did, which is take CBD oils away from children with epilepsy.
So in a perfect world,
you keep bringing up the children with epilepsy? Like, if everything is if that is saved and everything else goes away, would that be all right?
So President Trump, in his executive order to reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 last month, also called on Congress to keep full-spectrum CBD products legal. And that would solve that problem. But it's up to Congress to do what the president has asked. It doesn't by itself fix the problem. And it would fix part of that problem, but if we just save CBD oils and CBD gummies, then we haven't saved these beverages. And that's what the bourbon industry wants to snuff out. And that's our customers...
I guess that's kind of, two things is like you keep bringing up the CBD oils for epilepsy kids.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in my ass. Yeah.
So that if that is saved and everything else goes away, for now, would that make you happy?
No, that wouldn't make them happy.
No,
but
I'm saying that you keep using that as like your marketing point. So they're good because if that's the marketing point,
if they wanted to be specific about surgically removing CBD, or if they wanted to remove THC beverages from the marketplace and preserve a market for other hemp products, they could have done that. They could have given McConnell language that would have done that. We had been talking to relevant stakeholders in the space all year, giving them alternatives to what they did. And they did not take any of those suggestions. They did what they did. So if they wanted to have saved CBD products from people who use them for pain, anxiety, and sleep, our average customer in Cornbread for our gummies is a woman over 60. If they wanted to preserve a marketplace in America for adults who wanted relief from pain, anxiety, and sleep, they could have done that, but they didn't. And what they did is what they did. And what they did was take those products away from people looking for relief from pain, anxiety, and sleep, and in the process, from children with epilepsy and their CBD oil, which is the most boring, basic product that we sell. And it's something that we don't like to think about much because this is a much more interesting product. The beverages are a much more interesting space to play in. But the solution to their problem was a sledgehammer, not a scalpel. And the results of that, I want to make sure people are perfectly clear what is going to be accomplished if we can't get Congress to delay the implementation of this ban. And it's to take CBD oils away from children with epilepsy.
How is it taxed? What's the tax on these beverages?
In Kentucky, these beverages are taxed like spirits.
So what's the percentage of tax like in the cost of this on the federal? And because in bourbon, like the average bottle is like 60% when it's all said and done. So what's
that after the bourbon the barrel tax was taken away?
It's not fully taken away. It's over time, but once that's completely depleted out, then it'll be less.
I wasn't going to drink a whole can of cornbread, but
you may need to.
You all are.
You're asking me a math question, and I don't do that.
Well, I'm just curious because like that's always when it comes to these things, when you get the
in Kentucky, we're taxed like spirits.
So
is that usually across the board in most states that they're taxed like spirits?
It's been because of opponent interests, we had an explosion of state level legislative efforts this past year. Each state landed on different structures. And so there's a wide range. For instance, in Connecticut, it's a surcharge of $1 per can. Whereas in some places it's taxed like beer, which is a lower tax rate than in other states where it's taxed like spirits, because That's what legislators understand.
So they're all state, though. There's no real federal tax that you have to pay?
Because the FDA has not regulated these products, even though we've been begging for that. FDA says we have to go back to Congress to give the FDA additional authority. Congress hates the FDA and doesn't want to give the FDA additional authority because we remain unregulated at the federal level. There is not yet federal tax.
So I've got the solution for this whole thing. Do a study on whatever tax you want to choose, say whatever it is on a federal level, of everything going there, and like do a curve of what the next 20 years looks like. Send that to Congress when you're trying to pursue your bill, and say this is the tax revenue. These are the lines right here, and just be willing to give up whatever the vig that the federal government wants, because that's at the end of the day, that's all anyone cares about is in a large part of the government. Have y'all done that?
We've been doing that consistently for years.
And they're still saying no.
And we still got what we got, which is prohibition this November.
What is the tax? What was the percentage of tax that you would offer to the federal government? I was curious.
Well, we want to be regulated similarly as alcohol, but we would prefer a tax similar to beer if we're capped in the potency of the milligrams. We'd prefer a beer-like tax, not a spirits-like tax.
That was going to be what I was going to lead into is, Jim, in a perfect world with regulation being here, what does regulation look like for you with milligrams per serving or anything like that? Because obviously right now it is a little of a Wild West scenario, and everybody in every state's kind of doing something differently. I know a few players here in Kentucky, they've had to go back and forth because one day there was a problem. The next day they were 15 milligrams. Now it's back down to 5. I know your business has been impacted a little bit because Kentucky recently passed a law about no THC seltzers at festivals or carnivals or anything like that as well. So what, in your opinion, what does like a regulation look like?
So last year, Kentucky was the first of many states to argue and pass. Some states discussed but did not pass regulations on beverage specifically. And the initial proposal was a full prohibition of these products. Then we engaged, and we managed to save THC beverages with a 5 milligram cap, which is on the low end. Some other states have come in at 5. Minnesota, I believe, is 10. Tennessee is 15. And per serving, so I think Tennessee allows 2 servings per can. I think that's right. Whereas Kentucky is 1 serving per can at 5 milligrams. In the future, we would like to increase that limit to 10. I think 10 is certainly a strong player in the marketplace. But really, this legislative session in Kentucky, our primary interest is getting on-premise sales returned. This end of service and festivals and fairs, you mentioned the Kentucky State Fair. We really appreciate the Kentucky State Fair trusting us and letting us activate there. It was a great opportunity for us to meet all kinds of folks. It was really a good opportunity, and we want to continue to do that. But to do that, we need the General Assembly to grant us the ability to serve on premise. And then we've got a facility open for tours here in Louisville, just off Poplar Level Road. But we cannot sell our beverages at our facility because the ABC considers us a manufacturer, so we cannot be also a retailer, even though bourbon distilleries enjoy the opportunity to sell and sample on their premises. We have not been granted that privilege.
So
it was what, about 5-6 years ago when you could actually start doing that and not having to go through that middle tier. But
so I don't understand like why the ABC would be involved. I can understand like any kind of like
instead of the ABC, it's the TBC, right? Or whatever you want to call it, because it's outside of alcohol.
These beverages are regulated by the Kentucky ABC by statute from last year.
Okay. Yeah. Is it like that in all states?
Tennessee, yes. Some states
have a cannabis commission.
Well, and some states they're regulated by the Department of Health. It's just different. I think the Kentucky Department of Health had trouble. They generated good regulations, and we Cornbread worked with them to get those regulations good, and that those hemp regulations have actually won an award as a model for the nation, but had trouble enforcing those regulations because the Department of Health doesn't have a police power. So that's where the ABC comes in handy, because it does. And it has that kind of experience on the enforcement side. The regulations on paper are only as good as they're enforceable. And so in that sense, the ABC has been, it makes sense that the ABC would become the regulator of choice for the General Assembly without having to create something out of whole cloth. But these are non-alcoholic products. And so the ABC's
They're treating it like alcohol, but maybe because they don't know any better.
Because it,
well, it's the only thing that if it's going to happen, they're the only ones that have the closest shot of managing it in the state.
It's like if an alien lands in your backyard, like, well, who do you call? I guess the sheriff, right? Yeah, like who else do you call?
Which is sort of thing. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Mm-hmm. So it's just what they know. But it's not, like the comparisons between hemp products, hemp beverages, THC beverages, and alcohol, the comparisons between the two make sense until they fall apart completely. And the differences between them outweigh their similarities a lot of times. And so it's understandable they should be treated similarly. But when we start talking about treating them exactly the same or prohibiting them entirely as they have been done with our alcohol in the past, that's when the comparisons start to break down.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think that prohibiting or prohibition of these is going to do anything. That's not the right path forward. All it's going to do is open up to where we were in the 90s when you're buying dime bags in the parking lots of somebody else, right? Because you're going to get it from somewhere else no matter what. This is going to be a legal way to do it. It's a regulated way to do it. It gets taxes into the state. That means that's money for education, for streets, and for everything like that. And hopefully, like I said, I have faith that we are going to see the regulation come by the.
Has there been any? Has there been any like interest from the larger spirits companies, like buy or create, innovate, getting into the space? I'm not seeing or heard too much.
Who was it that was it Breckenridge and Tilray?
There was a couple smaller ones. What's the one? It starts with a T.
But I kind of look at this as why, if you're a big player, you don't make your bet into something until you know that all this has fizzled out, right?
But
the last thing you want to do is
they had an opportunity to either invest in the space or prohibit it, and they chose to prohibit it.
Probably, I don't know. I'm not paying attention to what all the news articles. I know there was everything that came out with Mitch, and I don't know who's lining the pockets to be able to tell him to do it.
Well, Discus issued press releases applauding his efforts. So Discus
so aside from that, like, have you ever been contacted by one of the larger spirits companies about potentially being invested? Like, because you are the hottest brand.
We have not.
So that's the answer to my question right there. Because like if you were going to,
I look at it from the tech space and say like you don't make an investment into something until you see that the model is proven and that it works.
Yeah.
So if I was a large drinks organization, I wouldn't be looking to acquire something until the dust is settled, the regulation is there, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, now the floodgates are open. That means that more money can come from investors, more dollars can flow into it. You have the guidelines and the rails that are set up to make sure that you don't have to get into any trouble. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, I had a friend that was getting into this business, and like, he was shipping stuff to different states, and then like, okay, all of a sudden I can't ship to Missouri right now. Turn this pallet around and set it on back. And that's just because of sort of the dynamic nature of sort of like where we're sitting.
But you understand the dynamic nature of that market is caused by major players that are against the market existing and are attempting to prohibit it. And in some cases,
I get it. We deal with it in direct to consumer shipping with bourbon all the time.
Oh, yeah. Goodness knows. Yeah. Cheers to that.
Yeah. I'd say that this is the THC drinks is like seems to be getting a lot of the attention on the discussion of. I mean, I have friends who own grow houses in Oklahoma and have had tons of issues that they've faced there, like constantly. And
Oklahoma really kind of stepped in it. They, for backstory there, like they passed a medical marijuana law that was very light on regulation. Like where most medical marijuana laws were 100 pages long, it was 20 pages long. It was light. Like a very red state medical marijuana, like small government medical marijuana program, which on paper might have sounded good, but the result was, because it remains illegal at the federal level, a lightly regulated medical marijuana program in Oklahoma exploded and created lots of downstream negative consequences, including diversion and oversupply, and everyone and their mother, like Chinese nationals coming into Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma is messy because they passed a bad law.
Yeah, well, that's fair. But I was kind of setting that up as saying like this is just like, I don't know, the tip of the iceberg, but the larger issue is federal law needs to come in about cannabis. There needs to be something, like we're talking about a farm bill here. Like, we have the Federal Alcohol Administration Act that's been on the books since 1935 in a base form. Like, there's got to be something. It's been too long, and we're far past dudes driving in trucks and with sacks full of weeds in the back of the truck. Like it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And
we want that to happen. I think that's what Jim's saying, is that we want that to happen. We want to see the path forward. I guess the question that I kind of want to close this out with a little bit, you had talked about Chinese nationals coming in. Let's say regulation does see that. Do you feel that there is going to be this huge money grab? I mean, I'm sure there's already a huge money grab in the space, and there's going to be a lot of stuff available. But do you have worries or concerns that people are going to come in with huge stacks of cash and try to essentially own the market or try to monopolize it a little bit?
Am I worried if capitalism is going to happen?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. Well, you talk about Chinese, you just talk about just like how much money can flow in, and then
some of those places, like there are laws like you have to be a U.S. citizen to own like marijuana land, cannabis land. I think
right, but like they've run circles around that.
Yeah, create like shell companies kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just like all you need is an LLC.
Probably the same thing with stores in different states. You can only have two stores that are owned by you, and then all of a sudden it's every cousin or brother that has one.
Foreign investment in itself is not scary. We have major bourbon companies in the state owned by foreign nationals, foreign companies, like foreign corporations. Like
that's all Beam and Four Roses. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Beam Suntory and Diageo and Campari, et cetera, et cetera. Like if it's not Brown Forman, it's probably or Sazerac, Yeah. So foreign investment by itself is not frightening or scary. The point is that the major players in the space, the MSOs in the cannabis space, and the board members of Discus decided that the best path forward was prohibition. Now, what their long-term play is, and if they're going to pick up the pieces on the other side or let us sweat it and deal with this later, remains to be seen. We'll see how it goes. But our primary mission is getting an extension on this McConnell ban, and we're hopeful that Discus and McConnell won't fight us on it.
Yeah. So that's the first phase of it. Then the next phase is implementing everything. Is there sorry, asking for another question. Is there, I know we talked about Discus being, but is there a formalized group that kind of bubbles up and is talking to the lobbyists inside of the government to try to move this in the right direction?
Sure. So there's a number of trade associations inside the hemp and cannabis spaces. We're invested in been members of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable since we started the company. And that's a big tent association that has both the full spectrum hemp companies like on our gummy side and our CBD oil side, companies that just make those products, and it also has beverage companies that make beverage products. And like we do, Cornbread is rare, but perhaps not unique in a hemp company that has a full range of products. We don't have any smokable or vape products, but we do have lotions and CBD oils and CBD gummies and THC gummies and THC seltzers. There's a wide variety of products. I don't know of another company off the top of my head that makes both lotions and beverages.
There you go. And so if you don't want to drink it, you can go ahead and moisturize your skin with it there.
Oh, we were talking about that earlier.
All right. One last question, because I'm looking at the can. It says grown in Kentucky. When you think of the THC space, do you feel that there is a something to be said about the state, whether it's grown in California, grown in Kentucky. Do you feel that consumers will latch on to the same way of where your THC comes from versus, say, like Kentucky bourbon?
Yes. The answer is yes. Now, the THC as an ingredient in these beverages is not unique in the way that whiskey made from corn grown in Kentucky and aged in a Kentucky warehousing, in oak barrel. But certainly you can taste that in our CBD oils, the terroir of the Kentucky grown outdoor hemp plant. It has a real connection to the space. And Kentucky, like I reported in Cornbread Mafia, is unique in being a well-suited microclimate for growing outdoor cannabis. It's great here. Just like it's great in parts of California and Oregon. Like it's not it's not the best place to grow cannabis. It is among the best places to grow cannabis. Kentucky, California, Oregon, a few other places. But absolutely yes. Kentucky as a origin story for this product has real legs in the marketplace. People respond to it because they know.
Yeah. All right. You guys okay over here?
I don't know.
I don't know.
See, it's so funny. It's like I sit between here. I'm just like, man, it feels a lot. It feels like so much tension.
It is a total discussion. And by the way, like that's normal for me. Like, at least I didn't, say.
I have had much more difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Gosh, Jim. No, we should definitely do this again. We should get the discus guy here next time. If you want to see some attention, that'll be. That's where we get the attention.
Chris in here?
I don't even have to. I'll leave the room and just let the cameras record.
You cannot leave the room. You have to stay.
All right.
I could.
Do I have to sit between you two like this?
Maybe not.
No. Like I would probably. I'd be more in the middle. You would be. We would need
Minnick in the middle.
Yeah,
I don't know why you would be. But I would be in the middle of those two, because. That one might go to fistcuffs. So I might have to break that one up.
It might.
But in all seriousness, man,
have a sign a waiver.
I know where Kenny's coming from, that he thought it got heated. I don't feel like it ever got heated. I do respect you. And I respect what you're doing, and I would strongly encourage this industry to come up with some kind of curtailing of people using the modern marketing means of no hangovers, saying it's healthier for you, because that's the teeth that discus has, and that's the teeth that they can take, and then and then they're going to say, well, some high school kid's going to get this, and then he's going to OD. So that's where they go, like the South Park episode. I mean, talking about
we can't live our lives on what discus is going to be afraid of.
I know, but there does need to be responsibility. There needs to be responsibility on the marketing side, and there needs to be responsibility on the production side. And you don't want sloppy products, to use your own words. You don't want that stuff out there. And that is the stuff that will always give your opponents teeth against you. That's all I'm saying.
They don't need teeth against us. They've already won. This is what I think that you don't understand here, is that you're making an argument that's already fait accompli. It's done.
Yeah, I don't think it's done. Like Kenny and I wouldn't be thinking it's done. I mean, this shit happens in today's world. Like, for God's sake,
we have to go through Congress and get this fixed at a time when the Republicans have a 2-vote majority in the House of Representatives, and this morning one of them dropped dead.
So now there's only one
vote.
Wait,
I don't know about that. Who died?
A Republican from California who was 65 years old. I'm not sure what happened, but he died. And so now there's one Republican vote fewer in the House, and we've got to get something passed through that chamber. And the idea that we're going to get it done with discus and MSOs stepping on our throats is not something that seems like it's going to. I'm glad that you guys are optimistic, but I'm the one that has to go do it.
Oh, you definitely have an uphill battle in front of you. I mean, I like to look at it from a macro perspective, and thinking that it'll be taking care of itself because there is so much widespread usage of it. But I mean, you're basically putting it, you're planting that seed in my head right now that this is not going to be sort of it's going to be a long time to get there. It's nothing that's just going to happen overnight because of, well, how fast our government does work.
I agree with you that we're going to get this done, but it's not going to be something that's going to take care of itself. It's going to require work, and I'm here to do that work. And there's other people with us. We're not alone.
Right.
But it's not something that's done, and especially it's not done if our enemies are still going to try to snuff us out.
Just know you got an ally on your side over here at Pursuit.
No doubt.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and this place is gorgeous. Like, just to reiterate, this place is gorgeous.
I appreciate that. Well, like I said, you got an ally in Pursuit over here. We're not against the industry whatsoever. We agree that with you, put some regulation behind it, make you jump through all the hoops that we have to go through, and we'll all be happy at the end.
Maybe we can all work together and have fewer hoops. How about that?
I'm okay with that. Well, Jim, I do want to say thank you again for coming on the show today. A lot different than the first time we were on talking about the book. And then we talked about like 5 minutes last time at Cornbread. And this time it was a lot of it.
It's a sign of growth for both of us.
It sure is, man. It sure is. So tell people more about Cornbread. Where can they find it? How can they get a can of it and everything like that too?
Cornbread Hemp, available at currently in Kentucky at packaged liquor stores. Also available direct to consumer at cornbreadhemp.com. In Kentucky, that requires an adult signature upon delivery. Other states have not yet imposed adult signature on delivery. We're looking forward to having those conversations. We've been blocked from direct to consumer sales in Alabama and Tennessee.
Kind of sounds just like alcohol, doesn't it?
So, Ohio is a challenge, but generally speaking, the beverages are available in distribution in 11 states from Wisconsin to Florida.
Very cool.
So for folks who are in, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, ask for us in your local retailer.
Very good. Well, Jim, congratulations on the growth of the brand. Again, I have a positive mindset that this is all going to be hopefully water under the bridge here in a year, or maybe 2 years or 3 years. If we can get those extensions and get what you need, this is a product that's not going anywhere, and you got to learn to live with it. As I always said back in my tech days, adapt or die. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, the market will adapt, everything's going to adapt, and this product will continue to live on.
Except the 3-tier system.
The 3-tier system can die. I'm okay with that one.
Let's come back. Invite me back to talk exclusively 3-tier.
Okay, cool.
I know. He said he actually wanted to talk about that. We just went off the rails.
It's okay. We can come back again for that one too.
Fred and I just can't agree on everything. If we talk 3-tier, there's going to be a lot of alignment.
Yeah, there's going to be some harmony. At that point, I can get out between you two and let you two kiss over here in the corner.
For
right?
God's sake, Kenny. It was just a conversation.
Vaseline on his nipples.
Here we go. That's what it comes back to.
Always.
Well, make sure you follow Cornbread Hemp. Go get yourself a can. Go try it out for yourself. Don't have to be scared of it. Fred's going to go home and he's going to down a 4-pack tonight. So we'll see what happens with that.
I don't know about that.
Live updates.
There we go.
I'm seeing things, Kenny.
What was it? He'll be feeling blissful and euphoric here before you know it. But make sure you subscribe to Bourbon Pursuit. If you do like the show, you can share it with a friend. Also share it with your friend and talk about bluegrass flipping, whatever we want to coin here with doing this too. But as well, I like it too. And if you do want to help support the show, you can do it for as little as $5 a month on Patreon. And if you never want to miss an episode, you can go and sign up for our newsletter over at bourbonpursuit.com. But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.